Hi everybody, Nam here, and welcome to another episode of NamNotes. And today we are going to be talking about the general process for getting an Android app to the Google Play Store. Now, why this? And for anybody who's been following along with other things in my life, I have recently, for the first time, developed an app and gotten it to the Google Play Store, and I am happy and proud to announce that it is currently live. If you go to the Google Play App Store, you will be able to search for WordDisplayer, one word, no spaces, by NamNotes. That is the one that I created, and that is going to be a free app available for everybody to use. So feel free to download it, use it, and if you would like to tell me any success stories with it, alternate ideas for what to use it for, that would be awesome. All right, so today we're going to talk about the process for getting an Android app to the Google Play Store. And the first things first is you have to create a project, which I did allude to my project in my vibe coding episode. I created an Android app and I wanted to get it on the Play Store. Part of it is that I think it would become a very good resume showcase piece. And also, it shows that I have more than just software development. I can manage my own project and I can get it out. I have my app, WordDisplayer, and I had to learn how to create two different kinds of packages. There's APKs, which are files that I can just install, and it was like the old way that you would install Android apps onto your devices. But now they've switched them over to Android app bundles, which are AAB. That is slightly different, but I can also sign it with a key so that they know that it is valid and legitimate when I upload it to the Android App Store console. In this case, it's the Google Play console. All right, so let's go and talk about this process. First, you have to create an app. Then you have to create an AAB. Then you have to choose one of your Google accounts, assuming you have more than one. You have to convert your account to a Google Play developer account. So everybody who has a Google account, you first have just a regular user account, but you need to create a Google Play developer account with one of your Google accounts. And when you do that, you have to fill out some information, and then you have to pay a one-time registration fee of $25. Now, I've heard stories about having to pay a registration fee for an Apple developer account, and that is way more expensive, and you have to do it yearly, considering this is just a one-time registration fee. I mean, it's like a bargain by comparison, right? Like I was like, okay, yeah, we could do that. $25. I mean, even though I'm not going to make any money off of the app. Honestly, if I just get the word out and people use it and I help people, it's fine. I'm okay at the moment. So once you have your Google Play developer account, it opens up a bunch of things inside of the Google Play console for you. Inside of this console, you have the option of creating an app, and when you do, you'll be prompted to supply a bunch of information. Now, you don't have to have all of this down right now, but it'll be screenshots of screens from your app, description of your app, what countries you want it to go to, kind of like categories of what your app will be for, what age groups your app is appropriate for. It will also ask things like, do you collect data? What do you do with the data? You basically have to fill all of that out. And once you get to the point where, okay, now you want to get it to the Play Store, you have to go through several rounds of testing. Now, one of them is just internal testing. So this is just kind of like, I presume that it's just a check so that you do some internal checking. What you can do is you can supply a list of user email addresses, and when you upload your AAB as a new release, that will be available to everybody you listed as a tester, and they can access it from the Play Store so long as they're logged in as that user, and they'll be able to see, and they can download and install the app. Now, the app will have like an internal testing title. That's one way that you can get it out, and some people can start using it right away and give you feedback. Now, the next gate is another form of testing, but they call it closed testing. And this one's probably the most difficult because you actually need to get at least a dozen users to use your app and the contiguous testing requirements to be met. So for this, you need a dozen users with the app installed and opted into the testing timeframe for a full 14 days. So the testing requirements for this are that you need to have a way to take feedback. So you need to either give a website where they can provide feedback or an email address where users could provide feedback. So the clock does not start until at least 12 people have opted in and decided, hey, I'm going to continue testing this for the 14 days. Now, I don't know some of the other details as far as like, what if they barely used it or you only used it a little bit. So, testers in the testing window, and each day that ticks by, you can see in the Google Play console that you have had, 12 testers opted in for 4 days or something, or 6 days. And you'll see it increase. So you'll know that it's, progressing. And once that is over, you will have a chance to apply for production. And once you apply for production, Google will basically just say, okay, we'll give you these things. And once you're approved for production, then you'll be able to push out changes to production. Now, production basically means you get to put your app on the App Store, and that will be available for everybody in the regions that you have selected. This closed testing loop is probably the longest. Even after you're done with that testing, there's still like a couple more little things to do. For the most part, that is the most difficult part because you're just waiting for the rest of your users, you're waiting for the time frame, you're addressing all of the things that you feel like you need to address based on their feedback. I think part of it is they want to see that you have a process for fixing and updating your app and that you'll do it. But then also, I think they want to see that you engage and that you're not just some guy who just hired a bunch of testers to do, which technically I don't think is illegal because one of the questions that they ask is, oh, did you hire testers or were they like obligatory testers or were they like friends and family? And I'm like, yeah, mine were like friends and family. I wanted to thank everybody who opted in to the internal testing of my app WordDisplayer. Thank you guys so much. I did want to read a couple of things that I got as feedback. So I was putting together emails for my testing group. I sent emails about, I think, 4 times throughout the testing process, and I gave everybody updates about what I fixed, the comments I got. But there were a bunch of good feedback recommendations, and I did end up making several changes to the app just based on those. So thank you guys so much. I wanted to read a couple of pieces of feedback that I got. Now, for anybody who had mentioned their kid's name, I'm replacing it with the phrase "my kid," and so just that I want to protect anybody who didn't want to share their kids' names online. And then also, I did have a few people show their kids and use the app the way that I initially intended for people to use the app with their kids. So one of the first pieces of feedback that I got, overall, everything works great. I've gone through entire lists with my kid without any problems. And so that was heartening to hear. Somebody else was like, I've been using the app like a quiz. If my kid wants something, I tell him to read 3 words in the app before he gets what he's asking for. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of a cool idea, making your kid look at something. If it's like they ask for something and you want them to learn how to read better, then read a few words from this app. Here's one. I killed some time showing my kid some words while waiting in line. She enjoyed it and passed the time. And I was like, actually, that's kind of if your kid likes screens and they're distracted by screens, but you want to just show them something quick and simple and not too distracting, this could be that. This is literally an app that just shows a word or a phrase. I didn't limit the use of spaces, so if you wanted to put like a sentence or something, feel free. And then this one is my favorite, I think. My kid had been struggling a bit with his reading in kindergarten this year, but now he's really getting the hang of letter sounds and putting them together. We've been using the app almost every night, 10 minutes or so, and he's really grown in his confidence and skills. This is such a great practice tool without having to worry about my other kid ripping up flashcards. And I was like, okay, so this is actually a personal friend of mine, and they've got 2 kids. One of them is trying to learn how to read, and then the other one is a little bit younger, and I can imagine the kid ripping up flashcards. So that was very heartening. And you know what? Even if I don't make any money from this, like already just knowing that it helped a few people and their kids learn how to read, already worth it. But yeah, it was a great learning experience for me. If I publish this one after my vibe coding one, go listen to that one. You can hear some more details about how I vibe coded the thing. Just to wrap that up a little bit, I didn't just copy and paste vibe code because, first of all, I don't think that would really pass scrutiny, but then second of all, it would be very hard to maintain. And fixing a lot of the bugs actually requires you to actually both A, know how to debug code, and B, You need to have more maintenance ability. I didn't want to say maintainability, but I mean, it's basically what it is. Maintenance ability. And so, with that, after another week or so of waiting, and here's the thing, every time you click publish or send to Google to review, there's always this thing that says, hey, we may take up to 7 days, although likely it will take less than that time. And every single time I've hit that button, it basically takes somewhere between like 2 to 5 days. So I would say it's basically within the business week. If I had to say like how long it would take, I guess they have 7 days just as a general, well, just in case it takes us a week, but it shouldn't take us that long. There we go. The day that I got the email for my app being live and being granted access to production, I was like celebrating because I'm like, wow, this is such a huge milestone. I wasn't sure if I could do it, and I thought it was harder than that. And to be fair, there were some hard parts of the process, but I worked through them and I learned all I needed to learn, not just about the tech, not just about the code, but also about the process, also about managing my time if I wanted to. For anybody who doesn't know, I am doing many projects all at the same time, and this is just one of them in my, let's say, sabbatical. This is like a sabbatical time for me. I'm really happy, I'm really proud, and I hope that the tool is useful to people out there. Please download it, use it. And so with that, I'll end this here. I don't want to make these too long, but as it turns out, I always have a lot to say when I start recording, and so I'm always recording a lot more content. That's okay. It's better to be in this situation than in the other one where I don't have enough to say and you want to hear more. There we go. Hopefully you guys found that interesting. Hopefully you guys found that useful. Thank you for listening. Remember to hydrate, remember to stretch, remember to get good sleep, because as we all know, it's really hard to get good sleep nowadays. And you have a glorious day.